Hollywood has great power couples nowadays who, when they were individuals, they were masterminds and geniuses in acting or music or sports or whatever arena they uh, influence. But when they come together as one, it just magnifies their influence across the world, across the nation, across the years. But God had the first power couples. Who do you say these people are? Well, one of them was Ruth and Boaz. So how is Ruth and Boaz a power couple? Well, we're going to find out this and more in Walking Through the Bible with Deborah. Our first scripture is going to come from Ruth. We're going to look at chapter 2. So just to give you a premise of what happened, Ruth and Boaz were a couple that found themselves in an unlikely manner. And this is an example to us today and how God will put two people together for a greater purpose. Because their marriage was born of purpose. And we're going to find out how. So, like I said, our first verse will be coming from Ruth chapter 2. We're going to look at verse 1. So before this, we'll preface or give you the background of the story. Ruth was a Moabite woman. She was not a Jew. She was not an Israelite, but she married into an Israeli family. And her husband was the son of Naomi. And her husband passed, so she became a widow. So Naomi didn't have either of her sons. Both had passed. Her husband had passed. So she decided to go back to Israel, her home country. And Ruth agreed to come with her. And so in verse 2, they have come back to their home country, or to Naomi's home country. And we're looking at verse 1. Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a mighty man of wealth, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said, Naomi, let me go down to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said, go, my daughter. So she had to go find work for her livelihood and to help her mother-in-law. Now, Ruth has shown great character because she could have stayed in her home country and found a new husband. But because she loved her mother-in-law and because she had changed her faith over to their faith, she now found a new faith in God. And she was now a Jew in practice. She said, whoever your God is my God, whoever your people are my people, and I will be with you until death parts us. So she was making a promise and a vow to her mother-in-law. So her mother-in-law must have had a great influence on her and made a great impression on her, as well as her husband and his family, for her to change her faith to theirs. So she showed great character in being faithful and loyal to a mother-in-law that couldn't really do anything for her. So she came to protect her mother-in-law, to make sure she was safe and got there safely, and to provide for her. So she showed great character as a daughter-in-law by doing this. So her mother-in-law found out that a near kinsman to her husband, Boaz, owned a field. And Ruth harvest the land, and then leftovers, if you had poor people, widows, people who couldn't supply their own needs or get a job, they could go behind the gleaners, the harvesters, and pick up the leftover corn or wheat or whatever residue there was of the crop. So in this instance, Ruth is going to try to find food for her and her mother-in-law. So verse 2, and Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said, go, my daughter. Verse 3, she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reaper. And her hap was to light as a part of the field belonging to Boaz. So she happened upon that part of the field that belonged to this kinsman or this relative of her dead husband, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. So Elimelech was her father-in-law who passed. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, the Lord be with you. They answered him, the Lord bless you. So Boaz had come to greet his reapers, the people that worked for him in this part of the field. Verse 5, then Boaz said to his servant that was set over the reapers, whose damsel is this? So he noticed her right away. So there was an instant attraction. He noticed her in this field full of people, and she was not the only woman in the field. Verse 6, and the servant was set over the reapers, said, it is Moab, the Moabitish damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. Verse 7, she said, I pray, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and had continued even from the morning till now, that she tarried a little in the house. So I noticed that they made a point to make sure to show that this was a hardworking woman. When she asked for permission, first she asked permission to glean. She didn't just assume she could go and glean in that field. Then she worked diligently from morning until then. So she was a hardworking woman. So these good points are being mentioned to him. And that's what we need to think about when we're looking for a mate. Is this a hardworking person? Do they have a job? Are they diligent in whatever they do? Whether a man or woman, they need to show some diligence in their work and faithfulness in their work, and be hard workers. So he's letting them know she's been working since morning and she hasn't stopped. Verse 8. Then said Boaz to Ruth, now he's speaking to her, hear you not, my daughter? Go not glean in any other field, neither go here from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. So now he's offering her a measure of protection. He's like, don't go anywhere else. Stay in my field. Go behind the maidens, the women that are already in the field. Stay close to them. Let their eyes be in the field that they do reap, and go after them. So wherever the gleaners go, that's where you need to go. Have I not charged young men that they should not touch you? And when you are athirst, go to the vessel and drink of which the young men have drawn. So he's saying, stay in my field, go where the women go. When the gleaners leave, you go with them wherever they go and go behind them. I told them not to touch you. So he's offering a measure of protection, because when you go in a strange field and you have a bunch of men in the field, you have no guarantees of how you'll be treated. And she's a foreigner. So she doesn't know if they're going to be mean to her because she's not from their country and kick her off the field, or they might try to take advantage of her. But he's telling them, I'm the master here. I'm the owner. I told him not to touch you. I told him not to bother you. And I told him to give you access to water and whatever else you need. So he's offering her protection because she's a relative through marriage. Verse 10. And then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground. Now, the other thing I want to note is that he was showing husband behavior. And we often hear sometimes it's like before you become a wife, you have to act like a wife. You have to have behaviors that make you wife-like for a man to see that you're a wife. This man was showing that he was going to be a good husband because he was offering provision and protection. And these are good qualities to have when you're looking for a spouse and when God is trying to highlight that person to you. And I think that's what happened in this field. God highlighted Ruth to Boaz. He saw her right away. Among all the women that were in the field, he saw her. God highlighted her to him. And we often say, well, how's my husband going to find me? How's my wife going to see me? This woman went to a foreign country and went out in the field, and her husband found her. So if God can send your husband or you to a place for your husband to find you on your daily day-to-day job, he can find you. There's no way. God will highlight you to that person, and they will see you, and they will find you, no matter where you are. My former pastor made a joke one time. It's a common saying. I think I know how it goes. It's something like, God can see you in the black of night on a black stone under a black rock, something like that. So God sees all. We can't hide from him. And he knows how to put the right people in the right place at the right time. So we don't have to worry about, did I miss that person? She wasn't even trying to find a husband. She was just trying to take care of her mother-in-law. But this man saw her right away. And God will make sure your spouse sees you. So, next verse. Verse 10, she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said, why have I found grace in your eyes, that you should take knowledge of me, seeing I'm a stranger? So she's like touched by his compassion. I'm a strange person in a strange land. By all accounts, I should be mistreated, but you're treating me in a special way and you're showing compassion on me. So it touched her heart because she's going on this field. She's scared. She doesn't know anybody. She don't know how they're going to treat her. She's in a foreign country with foreign people. So she's like thanking him for taking care of her and making sure she has protection and provision. She's showing appreciation and gratefulness. That's another thing. When we're talking to people, we can't assume that they're supposed to. Now, as women, we should command respect from men. Like, you, yes, I require a certain level of respect from you. But when people do things for you, even the smallest thing, you should always show appreciation for that. And I like to tell a personal story. When I was dating my husband, before he passed, we would go on dates, and he would go in the store and bring out chips or snacks or whatever on the way to wherever we're going, to the movies or wherever. And one day he said something. He said, I really appreciate something about you. I said, what's that? He said, no matter what I give you, no matter how small it is, whether it's chips, cookies, soda, or whatever, you always show appreciation for what I give you. And he was touched by that small thing. But I had always felt in my heart that if somebody was, kind enough to give me something, and I should be grateful for whatever it is. Even if he brought me the wrong thing, I always just showed appreciation and said, thank you so much. Even if it was not something I wanted, I always showed appreciation. And that's what we need to do. We need to show people that we appreciate and value them. We want them to value us, but we also should show that we value them as well. And she was grateful, and he acknowledged this, and he took this all in. He noticed her, he was attracted to her because he saw her. He noticed that she was hardworking, and she had a grateful heart. All right. So verse 11, Boaz answered and said to her, it has been fully showed me. This is interesting. All that you've done to my mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and mother in the land of your nativity, and have come to a place which you knew not. So you came to this foreign country to help my mother-in-law, and it's been revealed and shown to me that you've done her great service. So he's acknowledging that she's a good woman, that she's a good daughter-in-law, because she's taking care of her mother-in-law when she doesn't have to. And she came all the way here just to make sure she was taken care of. Then he blesses her in verse 12. The Lord recompense your work, and a full reward be given you of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you are come to trust. So he's saying, God pay you back for blessing my mother-in-law. Now, this is not his real mother-in-law, but she's close in family. He's related to Naomi's husband through marriage. So he's calling her his mother-in-law. I think he might be a cousin of her husband, of Naomi's husband. Verse 13. So he blessed her. And that's another thing. As a woman, when you talk to a man that is trying to court you, they haven't even gotten that far, but when he's trying to court you, he should speak life over you. He should speak favorably to you. He should say nice things to you. If he's always criticizing you, putting you down, criticizing the way you look, the way you dress, the way you do things, the way you talk, whatever, that's not the person for you. The man that God gives you should wash you with the washing of the word. That means he should compliment you, build you up, tell you good things about yourself, to encourage and bless you. Because hopefully you're going to bless him too. So he needs to speak life over you and show love. Now this man, they're not quite there, but he is speaking over her. He sees her value. And that's the other thing. The person you're dating, that you're thinking about marrying, they need to, if they can't see your value, why do you want me? So you should be able to see their value, and they should be able to see yours. So there's a song, and I think about it when I think about this. It says, I see your true colors. We know that old song. But it's kind of like saying, when I see you, I see you. I see the inner person. I see the positive things in you. I see the good in you. I see your potential. I see the great things that you are able to do and you are doing. They see you. That person needs to see you and see who you are as a person. Not see and then try to pull you down. When they see you, they should be able to say, this is a beautiful person. They're wonderful. They have all these good qualities. That's love. Because sometimes people, they'll be like, oh, and they're so wonderful. It's like they love that person because you don't see all those qualities, but they do, because they see that person inside of them that you can't see. So you need to find somebody, or God needs to bring you somebody who will see you the inside of you, the inner person, because the outward man will change over time. It might get better, it might not, but we're getting older, so the body's going to change. We're not going to necessarily have an hourglass figure or have muscles. Men might not have six packs for the rest of their lives. But the question is, and this one, someone made a point. They said, this is the test to see if you really love that person. If someone says that they're going to gain 50 pounds, or the man's going to lose his hair, or the woman's going to get wrinkles, are you still going to love that person even when they change physically? If you can't, if they say, if you gain 20 pounds, I'm not going to stay with you, that is not love. You have to love that person, the inside of them, because the outside may not be the same in 50 years. It most likely will not be the same in 50 years. So the question is, do you love the person inside? All right, so let's go to the next thing. So then when she wasn't looking, we're going to go skip around, verse 16. Verse 15, and when she risen up to glean, Boaz commanded the young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, and reproach her not. And let fall also some of the handful of purpose for her, and leave them, that she may glean them and rebuke her not. So he's telling them, drop extra corn or wheat on the ground, barley, or whatever the source of grain was, on the ground, so she can get extra. So he's going to make sure she gets what she needs to take home, to take care of her mother-in-law and to take care of her. So he's making provision for her before she even becomes his spouse. And these are qualities you need to look for. Is the person trying to look out for you and make sure you're good? If you need help or need support in something, or need an extra hand for things. The thing in life is, man or woman, whoever our spouse is, they're supposed to help improve you. So you should be doing things for yourself. You should be self-sufficient. But when they come, are they like, what can I do to make your life easier? So if you're a man, the woman that you want to marry, she should always be like, okay, what can I do to make things easier for you, to help out? This is short of financial, like we shouldn't be mixing our money together until we're married. But what can I do on my part as a friend to help you in whatever you're trying to do? They should be there to want to help in some way, shape, or form. If they can't give money, they need to be available to volunteer their time. But they need to be willing to give something or make a sacrifice with you sometime to help you out, to make sure you're good and that you're where you need to be. These are factors we need to consider when we're thinking about who God has for us. Do they have these qualities? All right. If he's a man, he doesn't necessarily want a woman that's going to give him money, because that's not her job to supply him money necessarily. But like if he's working late, is she willing to go get him some food, or make him some food, or make sure he's good? Do you need anything to drink? Do you need anything to eat? Can I bring you something? You're always looking for somebody. Shouldn't be looking for it. That person should be wanting to help you in some way, shape, or form, to help do what you have to do. And that should be the heart of the person who wants to be married to you. And if you're a woman, if you need help, okay, I will come and make sure you change your tire, or get somebody to change your tire, or use my towing service to help your tire be changed. Or if you're going out of town, we're in a place where we trust each other, I can check on your house and make sure it's safe. Or I'm going to escort you to your car and make sure you get there. Somebody who's willing to go the extra mile for you. All right. So he went the extra mile. So he's already showing husband qualities. All right. So what was the blessing he spoke over? He said, the Lord recompense your work, and a full reward be given of the Lord God, under whose wings you are come to trust. So he spoke that word over because he saw her. He saw, I heard about you. I heard that you helped my mother-in-law. I heard that you were doing good things for her, that you are a hard worker. So he's asking God to bless her, and he's trying to bless her and pay her back for what she's doing. All right. So we're going to go to a different verse. Let's see. We're going to look at another blessing in Ruth 3:11. Ruth 3:11. It says, so before we go to the blessing, let's talk about the circumstances that occurred after this. I'm going to just talk about most of it. Well, some of it occurred in chapter 2, but basically when Ruth got back to the house and she showed Naomi everything she had, and Naomi's like, whose field were you in? Who helped you? Oh, my husband's cousin. And she started thinking about how he helped her, how he gave her all this food, made sure she had access to all this food. And she's starting to realize that Boaz likes Ruth. So let's look at the verses in chapter 2 where she talks about that. Verse 22, and Naomi told Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it's good, my daughter, that you go out with his maidens, that they meet you not in any other field. So she kept doing what she told her to do, stay by the maidens like Boaz told her. So now that she's figured out that Boaz kind of likes Ruth and he's doing extra for her, and Boaz is not married, Naomi's starting to plot. She's thinking about matchmaking. So in Ruth 3, chapter 1, she says, then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said, my daughter, shall I not seek rest for you, that it may be well with you? She's like, maybe can I work on getting you somebody to help you so you don't have to struggle or work trying to keep us both fed? Can I find rest for you? Verse 2, and now is not Boaz of a kindred with whose maiden you were? Behold, he winneth barley tonight in the threshing floor. So she tells her, this is what you're going to do. You're going to wash yourself and anoint yourself. Verse 3, put your raiment upon you, get you down to the floor. Make not yourself known to the men until he shall done eating and drinking. And when he lies down, you shall mark the place where he shall lie, and you go in and uncover his feet and lay down there, and he will tell you what to do. So this is kind of a symbolic custom, but basically when she does this, she's going to go down to the threshing floor after the men go to sleep. She's supposed to sneak down there and let nobody see her, and then lay at his feet, and when he wakes up, ask him to cover her. So this is a symbolism of, will you provide coverage for me? And when people got married in the Old Testament, in the New, they said when a husband and wife marry, the husband is his wife's covering. So it's a source of provision and protection. He's covering her, and she's asking him to cover her. So this is a way of her saying, are you interested in covering me and being my husband? So she did what her mother-in-law told her to do. We're going to go to verse 7, Ruth chapter 3, verse 7. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn. And she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay her down. So she took the cover of his feet and laid on his feet to keep him warm. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, his heart was merry. Verse 8. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid and turned himself, and a woman lay at his feet. And he said, who are you? And she said, I'm Ruth, your handmaiden. Spread your skirt over me, for you are a near kinsman. And he said, blessed be you of the Lord of my daughter, for you have shown more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning. And as much as you follow not young men, whether poor or rich. Now he's giving her instruction. He said, daughter, fear not. I will do all you require, for the city of people don't know you are a virtuous woman. So do know that you're a virtuous woman. And I am your near kinsman. So he now explains to her, I am your near kinsman. It is by our custom that I'm supposed to marry you. But there is a kinsman that's closer in relation to your husband than I am. So I'm going to go and talk to this man, check with him, see if he's willing to do the right thing by you. And if he's not, then I will do it. So we're going to go to that verse. So he goes to the gates on chapter 4. And then the near kinsman shows up. And he gathers elders to judge between them or to witness this transaction, because this is considered a legal transaction. When you go to the gates of the city, that's where you conduct business. That's where you do judicial laws and legal things. So he's taking witnesses and the kinsman to the gate so he can ask him this question. So he's asking him, do you want to take the land of Amalek? And the man's like, sure, I'll take the land. But then he said, well, he has a wife, and Naomi has rights to the land too. So then this man is realizing this is going to cost him more, because it's more people he has to pay for the land. Because he's going to get a wife, but he's also got to pay more because of all the people who have rights to the land. So the man's like, I can't do that. Verse 6, the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I lose my own inheritance. You redeem it. I cannot redeem it. So now he's giving him permission to redeem it himself. He's giving Boaz permission. So they do this transaction involving taking your shoe off and giving it to the other person, saying, I'm giving you the responsibility and the right to have the responsibility. Because now you're responsible. If you marry her, you got to marry her. And then the other custom was you have children, and the first child belongs to the dead man. Now, this is the dead man's child that you're going to raise on their behalf, and their inheritance will go to that child. So he agrees to do this. And then in verse 13, Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went into her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bore a son. All right. So this is not the end of the story, but this is the crux of how they became husband and wife. And as a result of their union, it influenced some other things. So this union wasn't just so she could get a husband and Naomi would be taken care of in her old age. The story was about a particular purpose that God had. And what was that purpose? We're going to look at that. So we're going to look at the purpose in verse, let's see. John. So John 10, chapter 10, verse 17 through 18 talks about Jesus being our kinsman redeemer. And this is a foreshadow of Jesus, because Jesus is redeeming us from our debt, just like Boaz redeemed Naomi and Ruth the debt of their land that they couldn't pay. He paid the debt for them, and Jesus paid the debt for us. So that is one of the things that is showing how Jesus paid the price for us, just like he paid the price, because Jesus is our kinsman redeemer. He's our near kinsman that redeems us so that we're not in debt and that we can keep our inheritance in Christ. But there's another thing that this is showing us. We're going to look at the end of this verse. And it is, so we're going to look at the generations of Ruth and Boaz as a couple. All right, so the generations before Boaz, start in verse 18. There was a generation of Pharez. Pharez begat Hezron. Hezron begat Ram. Ram begat Amminadab. Amminadab begat Nahshon. Nahshon begat Salmon. Salmon begat Boaz. And Boaz begat Obed. Okay. Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David. So in the line of Ruth and Boaz was a king, and that was David, King David. So if there wasn't their union, there would be no King David. And David was an important figure in the Bible. He was a man after God's own heart. He was the second king of Israel. So from their union came a king. The second thing that's interesting is going to be in Matthew's chapter 1, verse 5 through 16. All right, and we're going to, so we're going to start at verse 6. They go through the same lineage. But in verse 6, it goes from King David on. Jesse begat David the king. So we know that King David came out of Boaz and Ruth's union. And Jesse begat David the king, and David the king begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias. Solomon begat Rehoboam. Rehoboam begat Abiah. Abiah begat Asa. Asa begat Josaphat. Josaphat had Joram. Joram had Azias. Azias had Jotham. Jotham had Achaz. Achaz had Ezekias. Ezekias begat Manasseh. Manasseh begat Amon. Amon begat Josias. Josias begat Jeconias and his brother about the time they carried away Babylon. But then this line just keeps going. And in verse 16, it ends with Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. So in the line of Ruth and Boaz came two kings. One was a king of Israel, David, and the second was the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, Jesus. So God put them together for a reason, because, as we said at the beginning, these power couples in this time, they influence hundreds of people, millions of people in this present time, and maybe in future time. But this king, these two, begat kings hundreds of years later and thousands of years later, and they were part of the lineage of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. So when we are married, when God puts people together, it's for a purpose. For ministry is a purpose, for lifetime repercussions. So when we have godly unions, God is putting people together for ministry purpose so that they can minister to people. So their union can bring more influence and bring more people to the kingdom. So when we get married, it's not about us. We're thinking, God, I just want you to put me with the right person for me. And that's what he wants to do. But that union is going to be born of purpose. It's going to influence years and generations to come. And we don't always realize the importance of our unions in our marriage and who we marry. Because when God puts you with the right person, you can do greater things for the Lord. Because on your own, you're doing great things. But when he puts you together, you can do greater things. So why was it important for Boaz to have a wife like Ruth? Boaz was a businessman. I get the impression, because he kept calling her daughter, that he was an older man, never been married before. But this woman stood out as an exceptional woman to him because she had previous experience as a wife. She also could still have children. And he needed somebody who was trustworthy and diligent. She showed work mentality because she was hard working for her mother-in-law. She was loyal and faithful. And he said something in one of the scriptures. She didn't chase after men, rich or poor. She didn't chase after money. She wasn't saying, I got to find me a rich man. She's just trying to work in this field and help her mother-in-law. So she's not greedy. She's not, as they say, a gold digger. She's just faithful and diligent. And he knows that if he leaves her in charge of certain things, she's not going to steal the money. She's not going to cheat him. She's not going to let the people slouch, the workers do what they want to do and still get paid. She's going to be on the job. She's going to be faithful. So when people are in business or even in ministry, you want to marry somebody with integrity who you can trust to handle things when you're not around, because she's going to be in charge if he's not there. And so he made good choices. He saw her potential. He saw that she had good character. He saw that she was a woman of God. And that's what's important. You don't want to be with somebody who can't further your ministry. And you can't, and they don't have them. They're not even trying to minister to people. Now, everybody doesn't have to have a formal ministry or preach to be in ministry. But whatever we do as servants of God, we have to be with somebody who will further the purpose of that service. And that's what they did for each other. They furthered the purpose of ministry, and they created kings after them. So when we think about marriage, remember, ministry and marriage is not about you and me. It's about God. It's about ministry. It's about bringing people to the kingdom. And when we choose people, it's not your choices affect everything around you. An example would be, say, a man is a pastor and he has no wife. He marries a woman She doesn't want to come to church. She doesn't want to participate. She doesn't want to help with the ministry. She's dragging him down instead of helping him. And these things happen. Everybody gets married. They don't realize I'm marrying a preacher and I didn't know it. Sometimes they don't realize that the person's going to be in ministry. But that's why we need to seek God, because God knows our future, but we don't. And everybody is not compatible, and everybody's ministry is not compatible. So we need to seek God to see, who do you want me to be with? And God's purpose and plan is bigger than us. And we need to realize it. And whoever he puts us with, we're going to be happy with him. He was attracted to her. He saw her right away. So, and she was not angry when her mother-in-law told her what to do. She didn't say, I don't want to be with him. She said, okay. So she was attracted to him too. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about position. She just wanted to do right by her mother-in-law, and she wanted to be faithful to her God. So when we think about who God has for us, we need to realize that it's more than us. It's more than power. And whatever we do will affect generations to come, whether we realize it or not. And it affects our church and the people around us, whether we realize it or not. Because you're setting an example for other people. Your marriage will set examples for others, whether you realize it or not. So, will you be faithful to let God put you with the right person, so you can be a person of influence and maybe even a power couple? Because we don't know what God has in store for us. Thank you for walking through the Bible with Deborah. I hope it helped. Please send me a like, subscribe, make a comment. Have a good day.